Hey guys, what is going on? I am very interested in this Atlantic story that was published today, and I wanted to maybe talk about, I don't know, maybe a discussion about media criticism or just, I don't think this will be too long, but I'm really just like fascinated by this story that came out today, but not for the same reasons that I think everybody else is. I did try to put it in the chat, but if you can't access it, I believe I got it from Aaron Rupar, the reporter who generously provided a GIF link. I think Aaron reports on Substack. I believe it's public notice. So thanks, Aaron, for publishing that. And then also feel free to say hi or say hello in the comments. What else? Yeah, so I'm very interested in this story. I can go ahead and bring it up here for a second. If you guys didn't read it, it was published today. It's pretty much the only thing that people are talking about right now, at least in the media world. But my interest is in not. I'm sort of interested in like if for different reasons. Okay. So let me go ahead and just. I'm going to briefly share my screen here, and we'll go ahead and pull up the article. But we won't drone on too long because, as I previously said, I know no one wants to hear me read. That's boring. Here we go. All right, share. All right. I kind of had it queued up to the part I was interested in, but I'll just go back here for a second. So this is the piece in the Atlantic by Jeffrey Goldberg, who is their editor in chief. I got to say, I'm gonna give him this great title. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. My kudos, or whatever the right word is, to whoever wrote that title. Usually the title is not written by the writer, but Mr. Goldberg is the editor in chief, so maybe he wrote his own title. I don't know. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. U.S. national security leaders included me in a group. Wait, I just realized you guys can't see me. Like, can you see me laughing right now? Texted. I'm sorry. Wait, let me read that again. The Trump. Wait, how do I change the view here? Because this is like, no. I wanted to get the dual. I guess that's okay. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. This is like is like Monty Python. Like what? Admittedly I only got like 6 hours sleep last night, but what is going on in this country right now? Is this a Mel Brooks movie? Like U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling by Jeffrey Goldberg. And then they got this is just the craziest thing. Make the screen a little bit bigger. Dude, this is just there's got it. Okay. Let's just go with that. Okay. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi, right? I can never pronounce that word correctly. Houthi targets in Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. Okay. Do you ever feel like you're in a what are we in like a Stanley Kubrick movie right now? Like maybe that's what I was looking for. Like it's only the lack of sleep that I'm forgetting. The one with Peter Sellers. What's the name of the movie? Somebody dropped that in the chat. Hey D, hey Ginger, thanks for watching. So the one about the bomb. Okay, Dr. Strangelove. All right, I remembered it. Yeah, I'm like, are we like in are we like in a movie right now? Like, like I said, like the purpose of this stream, I'm not as interested in talking about that, though it's obviously like extremely notable. But what this is what I'm interested in. Okay, this is what I'm actually interested in talking about specifically here, and it's kind of like a media discussion. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go back down to the paragraph that I'm particularly interested in talking about here. Go back down. By the way, guys, while I'm doing that, please like, comment, and subscribe. And we recently launched channel memberships, so you can do that too if you want to support us. It's not too much. And then you can check out my Substack, which is also free to read my reporting as well. Okay, here we go. And if you're wondering who this is, or you just stumbled in, this is Eric LeVay. I'm an investigative reporter and a open source analyst. And I publish on Substack, but I've also written for Daily Dot, Rolling Stone, Forensic News, etc. All right. Here we go. Just getting down to that. The key part. All right. So we'll go ahead and share that again. Here we go. Share screen. All right. Okay. I do think it is worth looking. I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. First of all, I always believe that you should show the evidence itself. If you guys follow my Substack, you know that whenever possible, I try to show the actual documents. So I think it's cool that they show the text messages. Visually, it's also just, I mean, admittedly, it is hilarious, right? Like first of all, just look at this. Houthi PC small group, excellent. John Ratcliffe, a good start. Michael Waltz, 3 emojis. And then it just goes on and on. I think they had a few other, oh, yeah, might as JD Vance, Pete Hegseth, if you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing out Europe again. These guys are really something, I got to tell you. Okay. So the part I wanted to highlight, and this is what I'm really interested in as a reporter, going down here. Jeez. It's a long article. All right, here it is. Okay. This is what I want to highlight, guys. Let me make okay. The Signal chat group I concluded was almost certainly real. Kind of feels like you're reading feels like some like he's like narrating like a kind of feels like an old school detective story or something. Having come to this realization, one that seemed nearly impossible only hours before. Here's the part I want to talk about. I removed myself from the Signal group. Okay. I think we can stop sharing there. That's what I want to talk about. You can drop your own opinions in there, but I will say, like I said, I commend him for publishing this. My question is why. That's what I'm interested in. This is like really, I guess, a discussion about media ethics and why would you remove yourself from that discussion? Uh, this is going to be. I'm going to tell you guys right now, given the screw ups that this administration has done and has done in the past, this is going to be probably a 1 day story. Like it seems like a big deal now. It's essentially going to be over tomorrow when they screw something else up. I can almost guarantee you. He could have stayed in this group. He was added. He didn't infiltrate the group. He was added to the group. Nothing like this that I can think of has happened before. He was added to this group. By the way, the group itself is illegal. That was one of my other bones to pick, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, about the story. It kind of was like a little mealy mouth, which this publication is known for. Like it said, like there's a couple parts where it's like maybe it's not legal to delete messages. No, it's illegal. Like it's absolutely illegal to set a timer on Signal messages. By the way, if you're maybe just to backtrack a little bit, if you don't know what Signal is, it's an encrypted messaging app. It's considered the most secure app. You still are absolutely not allowed to use this app to conduct national security discussions of airstrikes and things like that. Aside from that, it is a very secure app. You are not allowed to delete messages as a public official. Signal has a feature where you can set a timer, and I think someone in there set a timer to do that. So that's also illegal. So that was that was one of my other like bones to pick about this article was like, I don't understand why you can't just say it. Like, um, okay, uh, so that said, he could have stayed in this group uh, till they realized it or whatever. He did nothing wrong. They, I'll give you guys an equivalent. We had a situation out here in LA where a reporter, I think it was Ben Camacho, did a public records request and he received a lot of photos. I think he requested photos of LAPD officers. Then there was this big, uh, I don't know what the internal politics were, but all of a sudden they became very upset that the public records request was granted to Ben. They then, I think, not only tried to, I don't think it was just legal action. I think they might have threatened criminal action against the reporter for receiving a legal request. So, which is crazy. The point I'm trying to make is that public officials screw things up, and our laws are well established that the reporter has the right to disseminate information. You know, as long as the reporter themselves did not, you know, infiltrate the group or whatever, which he didn't. Right? He was added to the group. So he could have stayed in there. I will say that writing stories about whatever he saw in there would have been a little tricky because you have to kind of source it, right? You have to explain where you got it. So obviously, let's say I hear a series of sirens. Hope in this neighborhood that's not unusual. Uh, I'm just listening, like where are the sirens going? They're close. All right, cool. Right, right, right during the stream, as always. Now I totally lost my train of thought. I have like that kind of attention span. Uh, Sourcing the story would have been challenging, right? Because you have to explain where you got the information from. But there's all kinds of ways to do that in reporting without exactly revealing what it is. Um, Instead, for reasons that I don't understand, he voluntarily left this group. And that's really what I'm interested in. If you're interested in talking about it, you could drop some comments in the chat. But I'm interested in why, especially in media, there's this deference to national security. I again, this is one of the big problems in reporting is stuff like this. Again, I give them credit for publishing this, but there was no reason to leave that. He could have stayed in there. I guarantee you, based on the idiocy of these people, they would have just kept. I don't know what they would have discussed in there, but the American public would have benefited from knowing what was going on in there. And Goldberg and the Atlantic have every right to, let's say something was a national security, they felt it was dangerous or whatever. They don't have to publish something, but that's what I'm interested in is why show deference to these figures. Uh, I'll see if anyone has any thoughts. I think I read these before, but Ginger said crazy. I hope you have the answers. I wish I had the answers. It's great. The incompetence of these people is just amazing. I will say that another topic that I think is interesting about this is like, these are the people, this group of absolute morons who are currently just absolutely destroying this country, the dumbest people. By the way, I can almost guarantee you that at least a few of our adversaries probably knew about those conversations because Signal itself is a secure app, but there are ways around it if one has access to the phone itself, or if the phone has been infected with spyware. Like to, uh, it is possible in some cases to read messages. That's why you're not allowed to use even Signal for this kind of thing. As they noted in this story, war plans would be conducted usually in a place called a SCIF. It stands for a secure compartmentalized, I think, information facility. It's a fancy way of saying a secure place where you don't even bring your phone. Adeline said, "I have no clue myself." I guess I was thinking earlier about one of the great media critics, Eric Boehlert, who sadly is not with us anymore. But if you read Eric's work, great name by the way, of course. spelled it with a C, like I do, uh, or like my parents spelled it. I didn't choose the spelling, obviously, but I like it with a C. He would have had a lot to say about this, I think. Again, this just inexplicable decision when you're granted this unbelievable access to leave. Why? Was this to preserve access, which is a problem? And again, I give them credit for publishing it. A person who wanted pure access to Washington might not have done that. But is that what this was about? Maintaining access to the halls of power, which is not what this job is about. Sometimes you have to make little compromises here and there, but was it about a fear about what would happen to him? Which I don't know if that's the fear. And it'd be worth, maybe I can look, someone else is going to discuss this topic, I guarantee you. But maybe I could reach out to Mr. Goldberg and see, I'd be really interested to see why he left that group. If there's any discussion about that, it's worth happening. I almost guarantee you that someone is going to publish something on this, which was what I tweeted earlier. I'm not going to pull it up, but on my Twitter, I was like, somebody should write something about this. And then 3 hours later, I was like, I don't feel like writing something, but maybe I'll go live and talk about it. The other reason would be something that would be reprehensible for a real reporter, which was that to say, I'm afraid of repercussions or I'm afraid of being jailed or something. If you're going to take this job, there's some things that go with it. Now, there'd be no reason to jail him because he did nothing illegal. But as you guys have probably tell, these people don't particularly care about what's legal or not, right? They would love to throw every good reporter in the world, myself or anybody, in jail forever. They would love that. So I hope that was not what he was thinking, because when you stand up to fascism, you got to start soon, and we're way beyond what what I'm saying. Like, we're way down the line here, so you don't wait till the last minute. So I certainly hope that wasn't the reason that he left the group. If anybody knows the reason, I think I said that already, but any reporters who are watching, I would love to know. I already saw that Ryan Grimm, who I think he used to be over at The Intercept, I think he's at Dropsite News. He said a source told him that they think Goldberg was accidentally added to this chain because this actually sounds very plausible, that one of the sources is leaking to Goldberg. So like his phone is already, like his number was already in the phone and they made a mistake. Or maybe somebody was just drunk. I mean, crazy things happen. So again, that's really what I'm interested in. I don't really have too much more to say about it. I just think that's what's interesting. Everyone is focusing, understandably, everyone's focusing on like I said, the Dr. Strangelove, the Mel Brooks aspect of this idiocy. But we've been dealing with these people for what? How long has it been? 9 years? 9 years of these incidents. Going back to who published the first crazy book about the Trump administration? It was Michael Wolff, right? They just let Michael Wolff roam through the White House, just collecting. Remember how crazy that was? They just let him walk around and he was collecting all these insane anecdotes, which he just published. So that's worth talking about. I saw Congressman Eric Swalwell spoke about the national security implications, which is also worth talking about, and that it makes all of us less safe, 100%. But my interest, I'm going to use the word corruption. My interest is in corruption in media and why that decision was made. I just don't get it. It's like the keys to the kingdom were given to someone who kind of like didn't really want them, right? And that's something that I'm interested in. D said, was he simply embarrassed over the incident and therefore left? That's a good point. I don't think embarrassed, though. I think that's definitely a nice point to bring up, something interesting to bring up. I don't think embarrassed, but I think that this is almost like a discussion for like media ethics or I would hope that this incident would be discussed by journalists, excuse me, like professors of journalism in journalism schools. I think that's something to discuss. I can't think of necessarily another incident, but the closest one, like I said, is when you make public records requests, they make mistakes sometimes. Or let's say sometimes courts will accidentally publish a sealed document and then they'll quickly retract it, but a reporter will already have it because some of them will set alerts for certain cases and then they download it. It's a well-established precedent in the law that once it's out there, a reporter is allowed to publish it. I think that comes from the Pentagon Papers, but I don't exactly remember. But that's well established that I think it is the Pentagon Papers that once something's out there, regardless of how it was obtained, if a reporter gets it, it can be published. And that's like a very, very important legal precedent because um, the public learns a lot about that from that, right? Like it is from the Pentagon Papers, right? Like so Daniel Ellsberg took the Pentagon Papers, which he was not allowed to do, right? But the reporter he gave them to was allowed to publish them, right? And so that's kind of what we have going on here. Though I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go after Goldberg, and I suspect that might have been some of the consideration. But I really hope it wasn't. I will reach out to him. I really hope that wasn't because, like I said, if you're going to do this job, there's just things that come with it, and that's just it is what it is, right? Uh, there's ethical discussions to be had. So, guys, if you can like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to put my link to Substack in here. Maybe I'll give you a few more updates as well. Ooh, what happened to the comments? Here we go. Okay, so this is the Substack. We launched channel memberships. It is $3 a month to subscribe to this channel. What else? I was down at the courthouse today in LA. Let me add again and expound on the fact that it's absolutely crazy that in the information age, you have to physically go down to a courthouse and print documents off like a bubble jet printer and then pay 50 cents a page. A lot of cities are not like that, so it is surprising. Dude, it's like police day out here. There's like more, just like someone call Film the Police LA and tell them there's some action going on. I don't want to say where though, so I guess it doesn't really. So somewhere in the area, he'll find it. What else? Does it matter? Said, in my opinion, you should have sat on and gathered a bunch of more stories. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's um, that's exactly what I'm saying. Gather the stories, and then eventually, if you get burned, or another thing I was thinking, let's say I was an editor on this story, you could have sat on it for a bit and got a series of stories. I'm just spitballing here a little bit, but like publish them all at once. That has its downsides too. But you could have called it I don't know, the chat archives. I don't know. You get what I'm saying though. There's a lot of ways that you could have done this. You got the keys to the kingdom, and you gave them up for kind of this like I said, I guarantee you guys, this is going to be a 1 or 2 day story. It's going to be on to the next disaster about Elon Musk doing something or whatever. Something else is going to happen where they could have sat on this. So, what else? If you guys saw the other stream, you guys know I've been investigating or continue to investigate the mob attack that occurred on UCLA's campus last year. And so a civil lawsuit's been filed about that. You can watch the previous video. A large group of like CARE and a bunch of individual lawyers are going after 20 defendants, as well as UCLA and sort of administrators over what happened. And that's something I'm going to be following. That's part of why I was down at the courthouse today to gather some information. So I'm going to be publishing some news stories. about the UCLA attack on my Substack. And like I said, it'll always be free. So I've got that story coming. What else? I got some public records of a domestic terrorist who's now in prison, and I got his complete military record. So I'm going to be publishing that too. Not necessarily anything notable, but I think that there is a few notable things in there, and I like publishing the documents, so you'll get to see his complete military record. Uh, so that's cool too. Trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I guess unless there's any discussion, and I appreciate the people watching, we'll probably wrap this up. But again, I can't wait to once I turn this off, I am gonna like watch. I do want to see like some of the coverage. I can only imagine like Saturday Night Live is gonna do a whole thing with the text messages and all that. But I guess that'd be my takeaway and just something to think about is why leave that group? You know, uh, why show deference to these people who are destroying this country? I mean, I get it. Look, the Atlantic. I do things a little differently. I put myself out there a little differently. I understand that's establishment reporting. It is what it is. But again, I hope that one of these publications that covers media specifically, like I think like Semaphore, or I forget, like some Politico sometimes does that. I'd love to get inside the Atlantic and Mr. Goldberg's thought process about why did you leave that group. Um, yeah, guys. So look, this job is about making. Sometimes tough decisions are made. It's not always the right decision. It's a tough job. I think they had a little more. I don't know if the word is flexibility, but there was some time to think about this. And also they broke the law in that chat. That's another thing. Like I said, that they broke the law for two reasons. You can't discuss classified war plans over a Signal chat. Two, you cannot have auto deleting messages as public officials like that. So we got a comment in here. Jump in there. Doesn't matter. So thank you, Eric. Yeah, anytime. That's what we do here. We have a public forum to discuss things because we got to exercise our voice, because that's what I was thinking about today when I was sitting in traffic on the way to the courthouse to print things on the on the bubble jet at 50 cents a page. It's you know what, I hate to, I'm going to do this more. I hate to do this one more time, but if anyone wants to cover the $20 that I spent getting the UCLA records, or even a couple bucks, feel free. I'm not going to bring that up again, but I guess they say you have to kind of ask, and this that it's like a telethon. So anyway, that's what I'm going to say. We got to exercise our voice. Like it's a frustrating time. It's people are really in. D Savage said, "Thanks for reporting this, and please follow up soon." I am going to send obviously a polite email to Mr. Goldberg. Like I know sometimes you know, this show has a rant kind of feeling to it. Of course, but it's look, I do my thing, but when I send an email, it's gonna be professional, and maybe he'll write back. Look, sometimes people write back. You'd be surprised sometimes if you send a thoughtful, you know, a nice email. Sometimes it's amazing who writes back. Um, but yeah, so one thing I was thinking about when I was sitting on the freeway was, it despite the things that have happened, it's still a beautiful thing that we can have a conversation. I mean, there's man, I was reading about one of these poor young these the I think the ICE is now looking for another student, a Columbia student who's a permanent resident. All she did was go to a protest, a pro-Palestine protest. She got arrested, and now they're going to deport her to Korea. She hasn't been there since she was 7. This stuff is insane. It's totally illegal. But again, uh, there's not enough people who are stepping up and really, doing what they can. And we all have to do what we can, right? You know, I'm not on the Supreme Court, but I have this. I can do this. I have the power of the pen, right? So I do what I can. We have a discussion here about media. That's one thing. Tomorrow it'll be something else. But there's places in the world. I hope we don't get there. There's places in the world where you do stuff like this, and before the stream's over, there's some masked thug at your door, right? And that's what we don't want. Uh, I always feel like I have more to say, but I also feel like you want to go out on a high note, right? So I guess that's what we're going to do. All right, guys, be well. Take care.